So Hokum was written and directed by Damien McCarthy and stars Adam Scott, and he plays an author who is traveling to Ireland to scatter the ashes of his parents. However, he becomes aware of this fact that the hotel that he's staying at could actually be haunted. So this is a movie that I've been hearing about for a while. I remember seeing sneak peeks of it back last year with Keeper, which I thought was just okay at best. And I was kind of curious. Neon, in my opinion, is close to A24 when it comes to movies in general. It's like whatever Neon's doing, I'm kind of at least intrigued by what they're going to do next. And Damien McCarthy is a filmmaker that I'm not really into at this moment. I've heard he's done a few movies. He did Caveat, which I haven't seen, Oddity, which I saw back when it came out, and honestly I was a little disappointed by, but I wanted to check. I will check that out again because maybe I'll give it a second chance after watching Hokum. And to my surprise, this was a mystery movie a few days ago. And so I saw this movie at that mystery screening. And if I'm being honest, I actually really liked it. This was a movie that at first I wasn't really too into, but as the movie went on, I actually really did enjoy it. And well, enjoy is a strong word, but I thought it was actually really solid. So let's start off with what I did like in this movie. First off, I do think the actors do a particularly good job. Adam Scott in particular, who is probably playing one of the biggest jerks I've ever seen in a movie. Like the way he handles his parents in the beginning, the way that he kind of interacts with people is just so horrible. And I'm like, you're doing a really good job at making me hate you, Adam Scott. Good job. David Wilmot is someone in the movie who actually does a really good job in the movie. And he is kind of like a guide in this movie. I thought his performance was really solid among the rest of the supporting cast. Everyone else does a pretty fine job, but I thought those two stood out the most. Meanwhile, the atmosphere of this movie, like once you get into the hotel, it is very creepy. The design of the hotel itself is it's very creepy itself. You would not want to stay in this hotel at all. It's very unsettling. The music by Joseph Bishara is also very well done. The cinematography by Colm Hogan is also very unsettling. The editing by Brian Philip Davis is also pretty good at times. Like the way they edit the scares in this movie is actually very well done. Eventually, but I'll talk about the scares in just a moment. But even with not necessarily just the scares, but there are also some funny moments that are also very edited very well in this movie. And I will say that this is probably one of the better edited movies I've seen in a long time. I am also, the creatures themselves, they look really creepy. Like there's one you kind of saw in the trailer, which I wish they didn't spoil that creature in the trailer, but I thought that design was creepy. It's like, yeah, that creature's just going to give me nightmares, isn't he? And also some of the other ones, while not as strong as that one, they are unique and creepy enough that they gave off like a certain vibe to the movie. And I will say that the movie itself does become scarier as the movie goes on. I kind of thought at the beginning the scares were a little weak, but like when they kind of stop with the whole, let's build tension, let's crank up the music a little bit, and then lead to nothing at first, and then all of a sudden, bam, scare. When it stops doing that, and then all of a sudden just does like, bam, scare, that I think is actually more effective than just, building up the tension rather than just actually just it works better in my opinion because they don't actually give you any warning, and so it makes it more scary. And I will say this movie does become unpredictable. This movie, I kind of didn't know what was going on with it until, like, I kind of figured out what was going on with it, but it's like I kind of didn't know where exactly it was going. Like, I kind of know, like, the basic idea is, like, okay, he's in Ireland to kind of do this one thing. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting that you do this very early on. And then it's like, what's the rest of the movie going to be like? And the movie does kind of have, like, some unique ideas, like, where it's going to take itself, so I thought that was pretty cool. And also, again, this movie can be pretty funny too. Like some of the dialogue with Adam Scott is also pretty funny. As horrible as his character is, he does have some funny one-liners here and there. And I will say that there are some funny edits again by Brian Philip Davis, who I thought edited the movie pretty well. Like there's this one thing in the hotel where it's kind of like I don't know exactly what to call it, but it's like this like toy thing that's kind of in the hotel room with Adam Scott, and it's actually really funny at times when it's like the sound design of the movie itself is also very well done, especially with that item. But there's a scene in the movie where it's like it involves the item, and it's just kind of funny, which I won't spoil because it doesn't really feel like much, but it actually it actually helps the overall atmosphere of the movie. I'm trying hard not to spoil this movie because I do think it's best to go into this movie without really knowing anything. But Despite that, let's talk about some things I don't really like about this movie. First off, I will say the first act is a little slow. Like, kind of took a while to kind of get into, like, the really scary stuff and kind of, like, getting invested. It's like, okay, where's this movie gonna go exactly? And I will say that the movie does have a few weak scares early on, as I mentioned. The scares get better as the movie goes on. When there's no warning, that's when it's scary. But, like, when the music is ramping up, when the characters kind of see something, it's like, well, that's kind of out of the ordinary. And then it does eventually, it kind of like goes away and then it comes back. That was kind of annoying at first. It's like, okay, so it's just going to be a movie like that, and it's not, thankfully. So I will say that the scares, they do get better as the movie goes on. Also, I will say that even though their creature designs are really cool, some of them aren't used as much as I would like them to be used. Like the one creature I thought was absolutely creepy, which you kind of see in the trailers, I felt like they didn't use that creature enough, and I felt like it was just not enough in the movie itself. And also, there are homages to other movies that, it's gonna be annoying. Like, there's one homage in particular, no, one movie that in particular has a lot of homages to. And while I won't say it because it could be a spoiler, but there are so many moments in this movie where it's like, oh, that was from this movie. Okay, that's also from this movie. That's also from this movie. And it was just annoying after a while. It's like, you could play a drinking game with, like, all the references to just this one movie. Maybe not, because that is also a reference to that movie. But overall, I will say Hokum actually kind of surprised me. So when this movie does open up in about a week, I would say check it out. So Hokum, the acting I thought was very strong, particularly from Adam Scott and David Wilmot. The atmosphere is great. The music is very creepy, unsettling. I will say the cinematography is gorgeous. It's edited very well. It can be funny, but it also can be very scary. The creature designs are interesting. It does become unpredictable. It does become scarier as the movie goes on. But again, some scares at the beginning are kind of lackluster. The creatures could have been used a little bit more. The first act is a little slow, and again, those homages can be annoying, but I would definitely watch this movie again. I definitely will give Oddity another chance after watching this movie because I thought this movie was actually really good. But and maybe I'll just be excited for whatever Damien McCarthy does next. I'll give Hokum 3 out of 4 stars to see it. So, what is a horror movie that you are looking forward to? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.